It's a weird year to be a Note fan. Ultimately, it feels like we're looking at one very solid, if not super exciting upgrade in the form of the Note 20 Ultra. And now we come to the Galaxy Note 20, which feels remarkably unfocused for a $1,000 smartphone. If you remember last year's Galaxy Note 10, it served a clear purpose. It took most of what made the Note 10 Plus experience great and just made it available to more people in a smaller body. It brought the Note experience to people who physically couldn't wrap their hands around it before. This year, Samsung gave the standard Galaxy Note 20 a 6.7-inch display, which, yes, is technically smaller than what you get on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and it's flat instead of curved, which I think is a distinct plus. But the difference in size is negligible. You're basically getting two enormous phones. It's just that one of them, the Note 20, is just a little bit worse in most of the ways. To be fair to Samsung, just about everything I mentioned, with the exception of the ultra-wideband stuff and the super low S Pen latency, is here in the Note 20 as well. It also runs the same Snapdragon 865 Plus chipset, just with 8 gigs of RAM, which still should be enough to tackle just about everything you throw at it. But let's run through the list of small but meaningful downgrades. The screen only runs at the tallish equivalent of 1080p and only refreshes at 60 Hz. 8 gigs of RAM might be enough, but not everyone is going to be super pleased with just 128 gigs of storage, and there is no way to expand that. You can only do that on the Ultra, a phone that arguably didn't really need it nearly as much. The back of the phone is made of what Samsung calls Glastic, which is basically plastic that looks like glass. In this case, it looks basically identical to the glass found on the back of the Note 20 Ultra, but Glastic does not feel as good. It's not a premium material. It's all look and little in the way of substance. Not exactly what you want to see out of a phone that still, again, mind you, costs $1,000. By comparison, the cameras are pretty tame here too. Samsung basically just transplanted the main cameras out of the Galaxy S20 Plus and moved them into the Galaxy Note 20, which I find especially ironic. It's not all that unusual to find really good deals on the Galaxy S20 Plus, which, keep in mind, is a device with a slightly better screen, the same cameras, expandable storage, more RAM, and a slightly bigger battery than the Galaxy Note 20 for hundreds off of its retail price. That means hundreds less than the Galaxy Note 20. In a situation like that, you're basically just paying hundreds more for the S Pen, which, fine if that's what you're into, but by no means is the Note 20 a great deal. Now, I get why Samsung is doing this. It wants to make the Note experience accessible to more people. It's just that last year, that meant bringing the device to people who physically could not wrap their hands around a bigger phone. This year, it's about making the phone slightly worse to sell it for a little bit less money. This is, again, a $1,000 phone. When you consider that most people in the US tend to buy pricey smartphones like these on installment plans anyway, it's hard to imagine people not shelling out a few extra bucks a month for the objectively better phone. Mind you, I am well aware of the fact that the world is a lot bigger than just the United States, but the competition in other markets is super stiff too. There's Realme, Xiaomi, Oppo, Huawei, all gunning for the top spot. And Huawei, for what it's worth, did just take over the top smartphone vendor spot in the world. Samsung is facing no shortage of competition, and it kind of feels like with the Note 20, it's bringing a knife to a gunfight. I take little pleasure in saying this because Samsung has said for years that the Note represented the company at the peak of its smartphone making game, and in general, that's been correct. But I kind of feel like that is shifting now. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe Samsung has all the data in the world to prove that the Galaxy Note 20 will be the kind of smash hit that they want it to be, but I'm not convinced. It really just feels like a watered down version of the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra that isn't cheap enough to make you want to overlook those compromises. Now let's zoom back out. Ultimately, it looks like we're looking at one really solid, if not exactly thrilling update in the form of the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and a watered down, misguided attempt at mass market appeal in the form of the Note 20. We obviously need to spend a lot more time with both of these phones before we're able to kind of pass on any official or valuable judgment, but it's a weird year to be a Note fan, to say the least. If you want to know more about these devices, and if you want to follow along as we start testing these things, please keep watching Engadget. Thank you for joining me as I ramble about these phones for a while. I appreciate it. I apologize for any wind sound you might have heard, because there's a tropical storm battering the East Coast right now, and we're not doing great, but I'm safe in my basement. I hope you guys are too. Hopefully not in your basement, and we'll see you next time.